The village of Enosi sat nestled near a sparkling stream that wove its way through the lush green hills. Above the village, the royal palace stood tall, a symbol of power and grace, its golden roofs glinting in the sun. Enosi was a place of serenity, where laughter echoed in the streets and children played under the shade of the great baobab tree. In this village lived Kwame, a respected farmer with a kind heart. His youngest daughter, Grace, a 17-year-old beauty with ebony skin and sparkling eyes, was the light of his life. She reminded him so much of his beloved late wife, Afua, whose warmth and gentleness still lingered in his memories. Grace was not only beautiful, but kind-hearted, helping the elderly, playing with children, and singing melodies that lifted the spirits of everyone in the village. Kwame's first wife, Mama Abena, lived in the household with her two daughters, Amanda and Mabel. Amanda, 19, and Mabel, 20, were beautiful in their own right, but their hearts were filled with bitterness. Mama Abena, jealous of the love Kwame lavished on Grace, often whispered cruel words into her daughter's ears. "Your father loves Grace more," she would say. "Her beauty outshines yours, and soon she will take everything from you." So, the two sisters resented their little sister. One sunny morning, a royal messenger rode into Enosi on horseback. The villagers gathered eagerly as he unfurled a scroll. "The prince is ready to choose a bride," the messenger announced. "Every household must present their most beautiful daughters to the palace in 2 weeks." Excitement rippled through the crowd. Mothers and daughters whispered in anticipation. But in Kwame's household, tension filled the air. "Grace will surely be chosen," whispered a neighbor. "Her beauty is unmatched." These words stung Amanda and Mabel. That night, as the family sat around the fire, Mama Abena's eyes burned with determination. "You two must shine brighter than Grace," she said to her daughters. "She cannot overshadow you." As the day of the prince's selection drew closer, Amanda and Mabel grew more desperate. They plotted to rid themselves of their rival once and for all. "Sister," Amanda said one evening, "let us invite Grace to the stream. We'll pretend we want to prepare together for the prince's selection." The next morning, they approached Grace with forced smiles. "Sister, let's go to the stream," Mabel said sweetly. "We can wash our hair and gather flowers for our dresses." Grace, ever trusting, agreed. They walked together to the stream, its crystal-clear waters glinting in the sunlight. As Grace knelt to gather water, Amanda and Mabel exchanged a glance. With a sudden shove, they pushed Grace into the deep water. "Help!" Grace cried, but the sisters turned away, their hearts pounding with guilt and fear ignoring her cries. When they returned to the village, they wailed and sobbed. "Grace slipped and drowned," they lied. The villagers mourned, but none grieved more than Kwame, who locked himself away, unable to bear the loss of his beloved daughter. Meanwhile, downstream, in a neighboring village, a kind fisherman named Kwesi found Grace unconscious on the riverbank. He and his wife Susan carried her home and nursed her back to health. When Grace awoke, her head throbbed, and her memory was a foggy haze. "Who am I?" she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "You are safe now," Susan said gently. "We will care for you as our own." Though childless for years, Kwesi and Susan had always longed for a child of their own. They treated Grace with love, teaching her to fish and weave baskets. Slowly, Grace's laughter returned, though her past remained a mystery. Months passed, and one day, a trader passed through the village singing a familiar melody. The tune pierced Grace's heart, unlocking a flood of memories. She recalled her father's face, her mother's laughter, and the betrayal at the stream. "I must go home," she told Kwesi and Susan. Though saddened, the couple understood. "We will go with you," Kwesi said. "You are our daughter, and we will protect you." The day of the prince's selection arrived, and the entire village gathered at the palace. Girls dressed in beautiful, colorful clothes danced and sang, hoping to catch the prince's eye. Amanda and Mabel, dressed in their finest attire, twirled gracefully, confident they would be chosen. Just as the prince hesitated, unsure of his choice, a figure appeared at the palace gates. Grace, radiant in a beautiful white gown gifted by Susan, danced gracefully into the courtyard. She captured the attention of everyone present with her stunning beauty. Gasps filled the air. Amanda and Mabel shrieked, "Ghost! Ghost!" Their cries drew the prince's attention, and the crowd turned to see Grace. "I am no ghost," she said, her voice steady. "I am Grace, betrayed by my own sisters and left to drown." The crowd murmured in shock. Kwame, who had stayed home grieving, was brought to the palace. When he saw Grace, he ran to her, tears streaming down his face. "My daughter!" he cried, embracing her. Grace recounted her story, from the betrayal to her rescue and recovery. The villagers turned on Amanda, Mabel, and Mama Abena, condemning their wickedness. The king decreed that Amanda and Mabel be banished immediately to the evil forest, where their cries would not disturb the peace of the village. Mama Abena, overcome with guilt, chose to follow her daughters into exile. The prince, moved by Grace's courage and resilience, declared her his bride. "You are not only beautiful," he said, "but your heart is pure and strong. You will make a wise and compassionate queen." Kwesi and Susan were honored by the king and rewarded with land and gold for saving Grace. Shortly after, Susan discovered she was pregnant, a blessing they believed was divine. She eventually gave birth to a beautiful baby boy whom they loved dearly. Grace and the prince married in a grand celebration, their union bringing joy and hope to the kingdom. As queen, Grace ruled with wisdom, ensuring that kindness and fairness prevailed. Her story became a legend, a reminder of the dangers of envy and the power of forgiveness. Generations later, the villagers still gathered by the stream to tell the tale of Grace, the girl who overcame betrayal to become a beacon of hope. And so, the people cheered, their voices echoing through the hills, as their beloved queen and her prince led them into a brighter future. Thanks for watching, dear viewers. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video and consider subscribing to the channel. I'll see you in our next video.